All right, we're back at it again. We have another Ducati lost key replacement we're doing. This one is a 2008 Ducati 848. So they sent the ignition lock. Looks a little beat up. A lot of tool marks there. And they send us a dashboard. So plan of action as usual. I'm gonna make a couple keys from scratch. Make sure that they turn the ignition nice and smooth. Then I'm gonna do the chip programming so the bike will start. I'll come back in a little bit. All right, I'm back. I got new development. Does it look like I'm gonna be able to do this? Let me show you this real quick. Everything looks normal, except for the ding dings on the screws back here. Good, everything's intact. Somebody been prying on this cap. Not a big deal. But this is what I want to show you. At this point, anything turns this lock. Now I'm gonna show you why. Now keep this in mind. I know a lot of y'all call, you just buy a Ducati, Aprilia, whatever you bought. But you call around, you realize it's gonna cost you a little bit of money to get this key made. It's not as cheap as you thought it was. So you start calling around and you realize, wow, it's kind of expensive. And then you find that one individual says, oh yeah, and their price is really good, too good to resist. So you end up packaging your stuff and sending it to that individual. And more likely, this is probably what they're going to do. Let me pull the cap. I got this lock. I was ready to make a key to it. I realized something funny going on. Look, this is all grinded out, all the parts removed. This is all grinded out, all the parts removed. Somebody probably was going to take, let me grab one of my pre-coated Ducati keys. I can't use these keys. These keys are pre-coated with dealer data. So these keys are only good for if you got the PIN number. You can add them in that way. But if you don't, then I got to use a different chip. See, right now, anything goes in there. So this person probably was going to cut some random key. And then their intentions was when that person say, hey, why doesn't work the gas cap? Why doesn't it work the seat lock? They're going to argue the fact, oh, I don't know, but it turns the bike on, blah, blah, blah. So, but I think the plan with this individual, whoever tried to do this, they was thinking that the bike is more like a Suzuki or a Kawasaki, bikes that don't have chips in it. Some of the older bikes, some of the older Suzukis, Hayabusas, and all that, some of them don't have chips. They're just using keys. So they was probably thinking it was like that. And they were going to fake the funk, cut a key. And, the customer don't know. You get a key, you're going to put it in there, you're going to be happy. You turn the bike on, lights light up, push your little button, it starts up. You're good to go. Until you try that key in the gas cab and you realize, this key ain't working. So I think that was the plan. They was going to scam somebody and say they made a key, charge what they charge. And then later on, just argue that they don't understand why it's not working the gas in the seat lock. But anyway, this is what you got. I wanted to come back, show you. I'm going to give a customer a call and see what the story is. I'll come back in a little bit. All right, we're done. I spoke to the customer. He is aware that this is jacked up. He knows about that situation. He sent this lock. I didn't see the lock in the box. It was kind of like a big box. This was under the packing bubble wrap and stuff. It was up under it, so I didn't even see it. He told me it was in there, so I went looking for it and I found it. He wants a key made to this, so that's what I did. He's okay with the ignition being jacked up, so if you're all right with it, I'm all right with it. Both these keys are now programmed into the system. I was able to go into the system, read the data, so that looked like everything was intact. This was weird. I opened it up. There was a piece of tape with one of the components taped on the inside. Somebody obviously was in it, but luckily they didn't damage the data that I needed. I think one of the components that I saw taped there was like an LED light. So this one of the lights ain't gonna be working, but it was just taped up in there. But anyway, y'all need my help. You can give me a call. I'll tell you what to send me, how much it's gonna cost, how long it's gonna take. Now, those of you that call me and tell me, you're looking for people in your area and they don't want to do it or they can't do this, why they can't do it, I can only assume a couple reasons. One, maybe they don't get a lot of calls to do Ducatis and Aprilias and and so on. You know, all the bikes with chips, because you're going to spend at least a few grand just in equipment, and then you got to learn how to use the equipment. You got to learn all the different systems. Ducati has a couple different keys. They got quite a few different types of chips. Different data goes on the chips. The dashboards, there's different types of dashboards. You know, I work off the dashboard labels, you know, what the part numbers are. And then once I'm done with that, I look at the software that's in it, you know, and then I know how to come up with my plan of action to go ahead, program chips, write the data that the bike needs to start. So that's what I do. But you need my help, give me a call or go to the website, www.acmlocksmithgroup.com. Keep in mind, I'm not a motorcycle mechanic, so if you're having electrical issues or anything other than the key, that's not my jam. You're going to have to call you a motorcycle mechanic. But if you like my videos, like and subscribe. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Appreciate you.